Welcome to Then and Now with Tim B. You need to hear this if you're a space enthusiast. The evolution of rockets from the 1950s space age to the 1970s was marked by significant technological advancements and a series of historic milestones in space exploration. Here's an overview of key developments during this period. 1950s, the dawn of the space age. The V-2 rocket developed by Nazi Germany during World War II was the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile. Post-war, both the United States and the Soviet Union captured V-2 rockets and technology, which laid the foundation for their space programs. In 1957, the Soviet Union developed the R-7 Semyorka, the world's first intercontinental ballistic missile. On October 4, 1957, an R-7 launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, marking the beginning of the space age. In 1958, the United States launched its first satellite, Explorer 1, using a Juno 1 rocket, which was a modified Redstone missile. This marked America's entry into the space race. 1960s, the race to the moon. The Mercury-Redstone and Mercury-Atlas rockets, used by NASA from 1961 to 1963, launched the first American astronauts into space. Alan Shepard became the first American in space aboard a Mercury-Redstone rocket in 1961. From 1961 to 1968, NASA developed the Saturn I and Saturn 1B rockets, which were precursors to the Saturn V. They were used for testing and for launching Apollo missions into Earth orbit. In 1961, the Soviet Union's Vostok rocket launched Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, on April 12. By 1965, the Soviet Proton rocket became one of the most powerful rockets of the time, capable of launching heavy payloads into orbit. It was used for both crewed and uncrewed missions, including interplanetary probes. In 1967, the Saturn V, an American super heavy-lift launch vehicle developed under the Apollo program, was introduced. It remains the tallest, heaviest, and most powerful rocket ever brought to operational status. It launched the Apollo 11 mission, which landed the first humans on the moon in 1969. The 1970s marked a period of consolidation and expansion in rocket technology. The N-1 rocket, developed between 1969 and 1972, was the Soviet counterpart to the Saturn V. Designed for lunar missions, it unfortunately faced setbacks. All 4 N-1 launches ended in failure, leading to the eventual cancellation of the Soviet manned lunar program. Building on the Vostok and Voskhod programs, the Soyuz rocket and spacecraft emerged in 1966, and continues to be a cornerstone of the Soviet and later Russian space program. It has been used for a variety of missions, including ferrying astronauts to space stations. In the United States, the Delta and Titan rocket families were developed for both military and civilian purposes. These rockets played a crucial role in launching numerous satellites and interplanetary probes. Meanwhile, the Space Shuttle began its development in the 1970s, with its first launch occurring in 1981. This reusable spacecraft represented a significant shift in space transportation, aimed at reducing the cost of access to space. Key milestones and achievements during this era were remarkable. NASA's Apollo program, running from 1961 to 1972, culminated in 6 successful moon landings between 1969 and 1972. The Saturn V rocket was instrumental in these missions. The Soviet Union's Luna program also achieved several firsts. Luna 2, in 1959, was the first spacecraft to impact the moon. Later, Luna 16, in 1970, succeeded in the first robotic landing and sample return mission. American missions like Mariner and Pioneer explored Venus, Mars, and the outer planets, significantly expanding our understanding of the solar system. The period from the 1950s to the 1970s was a time of rapid advancement in rocket technology and space exploration. Driven by the competition of the Cold War, this era culminated in humanity's first steps on the moon. Thank you for watching this episode of Then and Now with Tim B. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating content on space exploration.